Perspective on Florida Gateway College Television is sponsored by Potash Corp of White Springs. Potash Corp, helping nature provide.
Perspective. This is a public affairs presentation of Florida Gateway College. My name is Mike McKee, and my guests on the program represent all about wildlife and the Alligator Lake Spring Festival. We have Jacqui Sulek, who is a Four Rivers Audubon representative. We also have Joe and Nan Soistman. They represent Florida Wildlife Care. And we have Merlin and Peach the Screech. We have two rescue owls that are on the program. I think this is a first for us here at Florida Gateway College. We'll talk about the Alligator Lake Spring Festival when we come back. Don't go away.
Everybody has a dream. Mine was to see the ocean. And with a little help, I made it.
Welcome back to Perspective here on Florida Gateway College Television. Alligator Spring Festival is happening on April the 11th at Alligator Lake Park in Lake City on Alligator Glen. Jacqui Sulek is the moving force behind the Alligator Lake Spring Festival. Welcome to the program. You brought some friends with you. We've got Nan and Joe Soistman from Florida Wildlife, and you've got Merlin and Peach the Screech. Welcome.
Well, thank you. I brought my friends here because I think this is the 6th year we've been doing this.
Wow.
People are probably tired of hearing me talk, so I think it's always nice to bring somebody who's going to be at the festival.
Well, and you know, this is so interesting because I don't know whether you can get a shot of this, Colt, and this owl is a barred owl, and that is B-A-R-D, correct?
B-A-R-R-E-D.
Barred, okay.
Barred.
And some people call it on cue. I don't know whether he could see himself on camera or that's a beautiful, beautiful bird. But they're not, people call them, I guess they call them barn owls. The mistake that people make is this is not a barn owl.
This is a barred owl. This is one of the more common owls in Florida. He gets his name from the barring on his feathers. They're the only North American owl with brown eyes. The barn owl looks totally different. They're white, heart-shaped. They're actually a different species even than the barred.
Now, is it true that these birds come out only at night, or is that another misconception about the barred owl?
The barred owl is not strictly nocturnal. They mainly are nocturnal, but they will hunt at dusk and dawn, especially when they have young to feed, which we're in the season right now where they're going to be hatching.
Okay, so the spring is normally when they hatch the...
Yes.
How many typical eggs does, or is it just one?
No, they can have 3 to 4 eggs. This particular kind of owl lays 3 to 4 eggs. 2 or 3 babies usually, but they can have up to 4.
Really? Now, this is you told me before we came on the air that you're a pretty big attraction when you go take Merlin to places. And I guess it's because it's such a beautiful animal. And you don't get to see them except far away because they don't let humans normally get real close to them.
No, and they're hard to spot in the trees. They really are.
Then so that when they hunt for those mice or those other rodents, they're pretty well camouflaged. Now talk about the story of Merlin. You don't just capture an owl in the wild. This is a rescue owl.
Merlin is a rescue owl because he was imprinted at a young age by humans.
Explain that. Explain what imprinted means.
He was raised improperly and imprinted on humans. And when I say improperly, it's like when we raise babies, we put them up with other owls. He was raised by a human, probably illegally, and released thinking he would be okay. And he does not know if he's an owl or a human. So he subsequently cannot survive in the wild on his own.
And so this was, do we know the story behind Merlin? Was I think you mentioned something about him flying around someplace, and you could see where he's almost like a dog, where you're saying, no, don't do that.
Merlin was in Aurora, New York, on an Indian reservation, and he was coming down and hitting people in the head over and over. Sometimes owls will do that if they have nests, you know, and they're defending their young, but he was doing it over and over, and one of the Indians on the reservation actually reached up and grabbed Merlin as he was flying by, and they took him to Hawk Creek Wildlife Sanctuary in Aurora, New York, and he was deemed non-releasable by a veterinarian there, and they used him as an educational bird, which is what I use him for also, for 10 years up there. He was their prime barred owl.
What is the reaction you get from when you take it? Because I'm assuming you do this a lot of schools, a lot of young children get to see Merlin.
We've only had Merlin since the end of December. We got him transferred down here, but in the short time I've had him, we've probably done 6 programs, and he's a huge, you can see, he's a huge ham bone, and he's a huge draw for people to see owls and other wildlife.
And you're going to be at the Alligator Lake Festival. What will you be telling folks about rescue? Owls are not your specialty. This is just one aspect of what you do, but you do all kinds of animals that are in the wild.
Yes, we do.
That become humanized, I guess.
Well, we work with Florida Wildlife Care and some other rehabilitators, but we take any kind of native wildlife. Our goal is to rehabilitate. We also do birds, all kinds of songbirds, and if we can't do it, we can get it to someone who can. So
it's a beautiful
any
bird.
kind of native wildlife.
This is the first time. This is a first for this TV show that we've actually had a bird or any kind of animal and we've had plenty of children on the program. And they say you don't normally do TV shows with animals or children, but and I wanted to get him on first because we didn't know whether he'd be patient during the taping of the program. Got another one here. This is and I don't know, Colt, whether you can. He's got his back, and Joe, I don't know whether you can try to move him around. This is another. Now this is a rescue
Yes,
bird.
sir. Yes, sir.
He's.
Easy.
I don't think he.
He's
Now
not gonna-
this bird. There we go. That's good.
Sorry.
What's the story on Peach?
Peach is an eastern screech owl. He came in to Florida Wildlife Care, and he has nerve damage to his right wing. You can see his wing is down a little bit. He was deemed non-releasable, and
Now, are these found in Florida?
oh yes,
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
No, I've seen the. I've only seen pictures of this type of bird. I've never seen, even in the wild. Is it unusual to see one of these in the wild?
Yes, they are very hard to spot. I mean, you can see he's completely camouflaged. If he's in a tree, it's going to be a rare occasion for you to see him.
Wow, that's again, when you're doing stuff in high def and you can show this bird like this. This is really, I can imagine having kids see something like this. Again, you don't see this. It's like seeing Sasquatch. If there is such a thing. Jacqui, you bring these folks to Lake City to educate folks about the rescue efforts of organizations like Florida Wildlife Care, and that's really a great service to the community.
Well, we firmly believe that what belongs in thanks Merlin. What belongs in nature belongs in nature. There's also the opportunity to talk to people about what do you do if you find an injured animal. And with spring right around the corner, one of the things that's important is a lot of people pick up baby birds that they think are injured. There's something wrong with them. The fact is that they've just hopped out of the nest, and if they're left in place, the parents will come and get them. So instead of picking up a baby bird and taking it away from the parents, Nan and Joe are going to have a chance to educate people about what to do with our wildlife.
Now, we just heard Merlin. That cry is that normally a mating situation, or is it a what is the when they do that? And you mentioned this is a northern owl, so it doesn't quite sound like the barred owls we have here in Florida. Exactly. And you say that's a dialect?
His hoot is a little different because he was imprinted, and so he doesn't have the total barred owl, who cooks for you all. It kind of drops at the end. I don't know what that who means, but
well, you mentioned it could be a Yankee thing.
Yes.
being from New York, upstate New York.
But his hoot, he only hoots when he's relaxed. So
really, so he's relaxed right now.
He's relaxed. He's liking this.
And we've got our ceiling is 30 feet here, so it's unusual the space that we're in, that he's probably looking around going, I could probably make it up to the rafter up there and spend some quality time here. Jacqui, let's talk more about the Spring Festival. It's not just wildlife. In fact, you brought some photographs, and let's take a look at some of the photographs that were shot at last year's Alligator Spring Fest, and it's really educational. This is a bird walk, correct?
Right. Starting out in the morning at 8 o'clock, we'll have bird walks. The walks go from 8 until 10, and then our vendors will be open for business. Here's one of the native plant folks actually looking something up in a book to educate the buyer. Then mid-morning, we have another bird walk. We have a kids' bird walk. We have a plant walk. So there's all kinds of actual activities so that people get to know a little bit about the habitat of Alligator Lake. The birds and the animals are always a big draw. We will have probably another hawk. We'll have Nan with the owls. This is one of the booths. We have educational things as well as things for sale. Things like garden whimsy, plants, artwork that relates to nature.
There's some turtles, I see.
These are the turtles. These come from Olino State Park. They bring up a couple of turtles. Then we also, there's one of our hawks again. We also will have a couple of snakes from Ichtuckney Springs State Park. We'll probably have, there's some more plant people.
And these are native plants?
They're native plants that help bring wildlife into your yard. So very, very important for our Florida landscape.
And it's important that if you want, you can have your yard could be designated
as a wildlife habitat.
Wildlife habitat by just bringing this in.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're looking to do something different, if you're, I think a lot of people plant palm trees or stuff in their yard.
Grass. A lot of grass.
Yeah, a lot of grass. But the native plants that are on display here, people can talk to you about that.
Right, and it's sort of like taking the plants out of the woods, but you can put them in a nice design, so you actually look like you have a landscaped yard, but you're offering benefits for wildlife.
Well, and it'll attract birds, and it'll attract different type of wildlife to your yard. Tell about the other interesting thing is that these are plants that they don't need a lot of water.
That's right. Well, they've evolved for the climate and the habitat. The other thing that's neat is if you put the plants in the yard, you're going to attract some insects. Then you're going to attract the birds, and the birds will come and eat the bugs so that you don't have to spray.
So
pretty neat thing.
Yeah, it's very neat thing. I was talking to you had someone that was a butterfly expert.
Yes, Mark Minnow. He's going to be there again this year.
Yeah, he came up and actually did the show here, and we were talking about habitats. And I guess he's written books on it. He's a very well-known butterfly expert from the University of Florida that tells you how to attract butterflies to your yard.
Absolutely, and he's going to be doing a walk. He's also working for the Water Management District, and he often brings a tank with all the little invertebrates and things that live in the water, so that you can actually you can see the critters that live in our waters, which is very important.
I was listening to a garden show on the radio over the weekend, and they were talking about planting things in your yard for the caterpillars to eat, because people don't realize that caterpillars turn out to be butterflies in a lot of circumstances. And if you don't provide habitat for them to eat, then you're never going to have butterflies.
Right, so it's the plants and then the insects, and then the birds eat the insects. So it's a complete ecosystem.
Now, Jacqui, you and I, we've been doing this longer than 6 years. I've known you for a long time. The birding aspect of this is extremely important because this is an ecotourism type of activity as well. Talk about the importance of ecotourism. It's not the beach, it's not Disney World. This is something that people can do in their backyards.
Right, and the fastest growing or the largest hobby in the United States is gardening. The second fastest growing largest hobby is wildlife watching, i.e. bird watching. So this is a combination of the two. It's great. You're teaching people how to garden with the appropriate plants to bring in the birds. With so many people interested in bird watching, why not bring them to Columbia County? And I call Alligator Lake the Paynes Prairie of Columbia County, because with all the wildlife there, with all the water there, the number of species that you can see is extraordinary. We're actually on the Great Florida Birding Trail, so people who want to come to Florida to look for birds can find us and come, and people have come from all over the country.
Well, talk about this festival in the scheme of is this a good starting place for people that well, I look in my backyard and I see different birds. I see robins now in the spring, and is this a good place to start if you don't know anything about bird watching? You know,
it's the perfect place to start because we have a beginning birding class. You're going to meet some of the people who are the local core of our Audubon chapter, Four Rivers Audubon. And then every single Saturday, the first Saturday of every month, we have a bird walk at Alligator Lake. So you come, you learn about the place a little bit, you meet some people so you feel more comfortable. We have loaner binoculars so people can, who don't have binoculars can actually get started. So it's really perfect.
Yeah, well, and I think that if you know what to look for, the people that you're going to be talking to know where to look for certain species that may hang around oak trees, or they may hang around wild crepe myrtle. So this is a good place for them to learn how to watch birds.
Right, and that's what I say, that the easiest place or the best place to learn is by being with people who know. But the other important piece, and we can't let this go by, is that we like to underscore the fact that Alligator Lake is the headwaters of the Ichetucknee. So we have a lot of educational booths and people who know about water, who are trying to save the quality of our water here in Columbia County.
And it's a park, Jacqui, explain this to me. It's a park that rarely gets visited by a lot of people. Well, it's kind of like, people say it's a hidden gem. It really is.
Well, it is a hidden gem, but I'll tell you, I would like to take some credit for it, but it's getting increasingly popular. And if you want to go and reserve a pavilion for a family event right now, you really have to plan in advance.
Really?
What we would like to do is get people out of the parking lot and away from the pavilions and out on the trails. There are miles and miles of trails there. A beautiful 3-mile trail around the dike that people can exercise on, and it's a gem. Acquired by Preservation 2000 funds, and with Amendment 1 having just passed, I know some people are a little hesitant about what that means, but we're really excited because places like Alligator Lake were acquired as a gift to our county through programs like that.
But it's really a special place. You get there by going on Old Country Club Road, correct?
That's correct.
Get directions. I mean, you can go, the park is open during the day. If you want to go there now, you could.
It's open from 8 o'clock to sunset. The way I go is I send people out by to send them east to Old Country Club Road, and you'll see a Great Florida Birding Trail sign, a brown sign. You head about a mile south and it's on the right. You want to make sure you go in on the east side of the park and not on the boat ramps on the west side of the park. The park the water is accessible through a variety of boat ramps, but our festival is actually on the other side.
And it's Saturday, April the 11th. I know we've got a couple weeks before the event. Is there still room for vendors to display?
We actually close to vendors at the end of March. But we do appreciate people calling and making a reservation for the bird walk, especially if they want binoculars. They can call and leave me a message at 386-497-4185 and reserve a space.
Let's. I think we have a graphic with your number on it that we could show the folks at home.
Great.
What you just saw, I don't know whether you saw Jackie's hair move. Merlin kind of went a little crazy over there trying to adjust his seat. But you can go on to fourriversaudubon.org to get more information about Alligator Lake Spring Festival, April 11th. I want to get back to Nan. If somebody sees an animal that's been hurt, is it better for them to call you versus try to handle it on their own, or is animal control where they should go? Because you're shaking your head.
Well,
No.
we have a hotline number, 352-371-4400. That's Florida Wildlife Care hotline number. We get very, very busy in the spring.
Why is that? Is that because animals are moving more and they're mating, or you said birds are laying eggs in the spring?
We have squirrels coming in right now. We're going to have baby possums. Then we're going to have the songbirds. So when you call the hotline, be a little patient. The best thing is that if the animal is in danger from a cat or the road, get it into a safe place. Put it into a small, dark box with ventilation. Make the call. If you pick up the baby animal, the bird especially, and handle it, the mother will accept it back. Lots of times, we hear that all the time. Well, if I touch it, the mother won't take it back. That is absolutely not true. So it's a hard call. Without knowing the situation, call the hotline. She will give you help on the hotline. I also can put my number out there. It's 352-222-2239. That's my cell phone, and I would be happy to help you if the helpline is too full. But
what is the? I don't know. Maybe this is not a good question. What is the weirdest animal that you've rescued? Just from an unusual. I mean, you're looking at the barred owl. It's kind of that's pretty unusual. But is there anything out there that?
well, we've had a Florida wood rat. We've had black-bellied whistling ducks. That was probably the weirdest thing because they had never been in this area at all. They had never been north of Lake Okeechobee.
Really?
And now they are in this area.
What do you think that is?
I don't know if it's habitat loss, global warming. They're just, moving. I'm not sure, but they're up here now, and good numbers. Good numbers. Beautiful duck.
Well, I want to thank you both for coming up here. I know that Joe didn't really say very much, but you assist your wife in all that she does, and we appreciate you bringing Peaches up here. Jacqui, you got one more?
Just a couple more things. I want people to know that we will have food. Rosemary
forgot about
is going to be
food.
there, and we are having snow cones this year. For the third year, we're having a very low-key, but a great part of the program, DJ. So
Now, what does one play at a spring festival?
well, actually, some pretty low-key stuff for a while, but then at the end of the program, he put on some real rock and roll music and some hip hop, and the kids all came out and danced. It was really fun. So
the good
he's
thing about
sensitive.
this is it's free,
Absolutely.
and this is done through donations to the Four Rivers Audubon.
We'll have our T-shirts for sale. It's, fourth year in a row. We have the wood duck on the back of the T-shirt this year. The park actually gives us the space with no charge, as well as manpower. This is a community event. We're going to have the Bloodmobile there. We have local rescue people. The college is going to be there for the 6th year. So it really, it's not just about water or birds or animals or whatever. It's really about community. It's about getting people to this beautiful park that may not have been there before. People come and stay the whole day. Come have lunch, hang out,
And teach
It's great.
people, and you're there really to teach people about the ecology of the area and keeping it the way it is versus losing it and losing the habitat that so many of these rescue birds. And is he sleeping in there? No, he's just kind of looking at you, or
He's looking at Merlin.
Oh, now do they get along, or would there be a fight? And there's probably that's why you have one.
He's a prey animal to Merlin.
Oh, so owls will go after their own.
Yes, sir.
Oh, wow.
Well, he's a different species,
Right.
and he's obviously smaller, so he's not out of the realm of possibilities.
That could be a nice little snack if we've had a problem here.
Especially
Well, thank you again, and I wish you the best of success. It's Saturday, April the 11th from 10 o'clock in the morning till 3. Lots of fun, food, and a lot of good educational opportunities. So if you want something to do with your whole family, you can do this on Saturday, April 11th. Thank you all for being on the program, and thank you for bringing Merlin
you.
and
Thanks for
Peaches.
having us.
And
Again.
thank you for watching Perspective here on Florida Gateway College Television. Until next time, I'm Mike McKee. So long.